you think of Trudeau's messaging to Trump so far, tariff border dispute issue?
It's not helpful, and I mentioned that on our call yesterday. The American people voted pretty decisively for the Republicans and for President-elect Donald Trump in particular. Under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports. We're investing $29 million to create a new unit. We're accelerating our plan, but that is our approach, is one of diplomacy, not threats. At a 25% tariff would add $1 a gallon to every gallon of gasoline that Americans purchase. Today, Alberta's government is taking immediate action to crack down on illegal activities at our shared Alberta-U.S. border, namely illegal migrants and the trafficking of drugs and guns. This suite of measures will curb illegal border activities and strengthen our nation's border security. We're investing $29 million to create a new unit, the Interdiction Patrol Team, or IPT, under the command of the Alberta Sheriffs. This unit will be supported by over 50 specially trained sheriffs. 4 drug patrol dogs, critical to ensure reasonable suspicion to search vehicles. 10 cold weather surveillance drones that can operate in high winds with dedicated pilots. And 4 narcotics analyzers to test for illicit drugs. The IPT will be made up of 7 teams of sheriffs. We will also create a 2-kilometer deep border zone, which is a red zone deemed critical infrastructure to enable the sheriffs to arrest individuals found attempting to cross the border illegally or attempting to traffic illegal drugs or weapons without needing a warrant. The criminals behind these activities destroy lives on both sides of the border, and these measures are our way of stopping it. It doesn't mean that Alberta intends or wants to act alone when it comes to securing the border. We'll obviously keep working closely with our federal counterparts at the Canada Border Services Agency, as well as the RCMP. We will start filling the ranks of the border teams as soon as possible. Our goal is to have the Interdiction Patrol Unit up and running by early next year. Together with federal law enforcement, we'll ensure that our section of the American border is well protected. We'll deny safe haven to criminals looking to operate in both countries. And if we succeed and maintain proper border security, I expect we will have a very strong relationship with the United States, as we always have.
If the Canada-U.S. border is as big of a problem as you say it is, why did it take a threat from President-elect Donald Trump to put this plan into place?
I think I've mentioned to the media many times that if you want to know the agenda of our government, you should read the mandate letters that I have given to my ministers. And I'll quote to you from the July 2023 mandate letter: create a specialized sheriff-led anti-fentanyl and illegal gun trafficking team or teams, including at the Canada-U.S. border. So the reason we're able to get started, accelerate this plan, is because we've been working on it for 18 months. It's the reason why we already have a number of officers that have been trained. And we are going to be accelerating the acquisition of equipment. But this has been in the works for some time.
What do you make of Doug Ford's vow to cut off energy to the U.S. in the wake of the 25% tariff threats?
Well, let me be clear from the Alberta perspective. Under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports. We don't support tariffs. I don't support tariffs on Canadian goods, and I don't support tariffs on U.S. goods, because all it does is make life more expensive for everyday Canadians and everyday Americans. So instead, we're taking a diplomatic approach, and we're meeting with our allies in the U.S. We're making the case for Alberta oil and gas to be part of the solution to energy affordability, to energy security, and to, generally speaking, North American defense security as well. And of course, we'll work with our counterparts in Montana in a shared border arrangement so that we can improve public safety, crack down on illegal migrants and illegal drug trafficking. And that's part of the reason why we're announcing this today. We know that there are issues that have been identified that are irritants to the current administration. We've identified those as a problem in Alberta as well. We're accelerating our plan, but that is our approach, is one of diplomacy, not threats.
Retaliatory oil and gas tariffs are off the table. What about other sectors? Is there anything further that your government would consider?
Well, just think about what retaliatory tariffs look like, and use the examples that the Prime Minister gave. Ketchup and playing cards, and bourbon and cherries. So what that would mean is that cherries for Canadian consumers are 25% more expensive. Playing cards for Canadian consumers are 25% more expensive. Bourbon for Canadian consumers are 25% more expensive. So that's what is being contemplated here, is making life more expensive for Canadians. I don't think that that's the right approach. When I was down in the U.S. at the Western Governors Conference, what I said is that that there is a substantial amount of oil and gas that goes across the border. In fact, it's somewhere in the order of $133 billion worth of trade on oil, and somewhere near $22 billion worth of trade on natural gas, and also lubricants and other products that come from petroleum. If all of those have a 25% tariff, it'll make life more expensive for American consumers. Some of the analysis we've seen is that a 25% tariff would add $1 a gallon to every gallon of gasoline that Americans purchase. And I don't think that when I mentioned that to all of the governors that I spoke with, their eyes went wide. They know what that would mean. And so I think that is the better road, is for us to talk about why it is we have such a robust and strong mutual relationship on trade that works very well for both countries. And that's the approach we're taking.
And assuming this border plan came up during your meeting with the premiers yesterday, what was their reaction, and are any other provinces considering similar measures? Would you encourage that?
The Prime Minister has taken note that other provinces have been talking about doing something similar to this. Quebec is talking about deploying some of their provincial police force, same with Ontario. Wabkanu in Manitoba has talked about deploying some of his conservation officers, who I think are very well trained as well. And so they have a plan that they shared with us, and they'll be rolling it out, I'm sure, in due course. I was pleased to see that they wanted to get the provincial buy-in on the approach that they're taking, and I was glad to see that it was very much consistent with what we're doing. As Mike mentioned, he's already reached out to his counterparts in border security as well as with the RCMP. So we're well on our way, and I'll look forward to seeing what the federal government rolls out in other provinces.
Justin Trudeau has been addressing the border dispute, trade dispute this week, and in a major statement in Halifax, he didn't once address the major U.S. concerns put forward by Donald Trump about illegal fentanyl and migrants. And instead, he's been scolding American voters for not electing Kamala Harris and not adopting progressive policies. What do you think of Trudeau's messaging to Trump so far, public messaging so far to Trump on this tariff border dispute issue?
It's not helpful. And I mentioned that on our call yesterday. I think the American people voted pretty decisively for the Republicans and for President-elect Donald Trump in particular. And as a trading partner, an ally of the United States, I respect their vote, and I look forward to working with the new administration on our shared concerns.